in a can. Nobody had any idea what it was. So when we came to promote it, we had to write this on a bus: pure fruit and sparkling spring water. Now, as a marketeer and someone that writes words for a living, that hurts my heart that we had to write that on a bus, because it's the least interesting thing ever. But sometimes we just have to do it. But when we have more space, we can do something slightly more interesting. So this was on an underground, one of those big posters on the underground. And again, we had to tell people what was in it, but because it was the biggest poster we'd ever made, we just reminded people that it's smaller in real life. That isn't the size that you will buy the bubbles. That would be really good value. It's only £1.99. And then when we talk about our drinks on social, we've got even more space, and we have people's attention because they're expecting a certain tone of voice from us. So even if we have to talk about super smoothies, we will try and get some humour into the copy. So comparing them to the 7 Wonders of the World is obviously the natural thing to do. And then if we're talking about our smoothies, sometimes we don't have to sell them at all. We just mention them, like this one, just comparing them to milkshakes, and just reminding them why they are so much better than milkshakes. So if you can make your product interesting and factually accurate, which is this tweet is factually accurate, then people will listen to you when you have something to say. Even if you're talking about smoothies, if you can make it entertaining, then your fans will stick with you. And if you can get your product front and centre of a topical event, even better. So it doesn't happen very often, but this was when Apple launched the iPhone 6, which I think was in 2014. And so we decided to really blatantly rip off Apple advertising. We used the apple juice and called it the latest in Apple technology, and just launched it at exactly the same time as the iPhone 6. We jumped on a hashtag. We then went down to the Apple, where the shop's open and everyone's queuing up. So we sampled the queue, and then we took loads of photos. Then we got really worried we were going to get sued, and I had to stop. But then we did it again for the Apple Watch, which comparing our Apple to the Apple Watch. Turns out it's a terrible idea. Never make that. That's not a good watch at all. And also for Apple Pay as well. I had to bribe a newsagent down the road from the office to let me use his card machine because he thought I was mad, but it was worth every penny. So yeah, if you can make the hard sell that interesting, then great. You can't always do that, but that's what you should aspire to. Third one is a really important one: learn by doing. It's like easy when you stand up and you can be like, look at all the great stuff you've done. I've written a lot of bad stuff since I've been at Innocent, and the reason that I've been able to do that is because when I got the job, my boss's boss trusted me with the passwords and just let me do what I was doing, and the people in the team do that as well. So the way that we get good at social is by trying stuff out. Sometimes it's rubbish, sometimes it's alright, sometimes it's great. It's not often great, but maybe 1 in 100 are really good. And so you have to learn by trying stuff out. And pretty much every idea we've had at Innocent that's been any good has been a complete accident. It's quite difficult to admit that, but it is the truth. And I'll show you kind of the accidents that have been the most successful for Innocent. Here's a really good example of learn by doing. This is a grape. It is wearing a raspberry that looks like a beard. This piece of content was created in a lunch break because there were some grapes and raspberries on a table. And I was sitting with the creative team, and they always have scalpels. So we kind of cut out a mouth, and we drew some eyes on it and a mouth, and took a photo of it. It cost about 15p to make this piece of content, and it got 146,000 likes on Facebook. Statistically, the most successful thing I've ever done in my career, which will haunt me to my grave, I think. But it just shows the power of pissing about, basically. This was a happy accident. Managed to get a pun into the copy, which is always a bonus. But nobody sat in a meeting going, hey guys, how do we make this grape go viral? Nobody did that. That's not what happened. It was just an accident. Another happy accident. So I was listening to Jay-Z's 99 Problems because, as you can tell, I'm pretty gangster. And I started thinking, if you're familiar with the song, Jay-Z talks about having 99 problems, but he doesn't ever explain what those problems are. And so I thought it would be really funny when I was listening to it if they were just really mundane, quintessentially British problems, like finding a reliable plumber, because it is really hard to find a reliable, affordable plumber. And so I started writing the first 3, and then I wrote some more, like the difference between affect and effect. I still don't know. And then the problem was is people really liked the idea, and so I had to write some more. So like the pedestrianisation of Norwich city centre is a big problem for Jay-Z. I also I don't know how to number, so I went 17, 18, 19, 17, which is one of the mistakes I'm talking about. But yeah, and talking about avocados as well. And then, yeah, the problem was, once I got to 36, it was really apparent this was very successful. The problem was I had to write all 99 of Jay-Z's problems, which I was scraping the barrel by the end of it. But on the day that we published all of them on our blog, 20,000 people went to our blog to read them. And it came from nothing. It came from a silly idea that turned out that it worked. And the ultimate pissing about successfully idea that's happened in my Innocent career is the 4th floor stapler. So I sit on the 4th floor, Innocent. I was photocopying something one day, and there was a stapler next to the photocopier, and it's this stapler, and on it said floor 4, do not remove. And I looked at this stapler, and I just thought that someone had taken the time. They must have had like a label maker, like a laminated label maker, and they took the time to make a label to put on a stapler to tell you not to take it off the 4th floor. So I was like, screw that. So I took it to the 2nd floor, and then one of my colleagues was going punting in Cambridge that weekend, so she took it to Cambridge. And then I went to Hackney City Farm, so I took a photo of it with a donkey. At this point, the next one, I haven't got this in the presentation, but the next place I took it to was the Ritz in London. And while I was taking a photo, so I had my phone, I had the stapler, and it got recognised. Genuinely, someone screamed from across the road. She was American, I'm not going to do the accent, but she screamed, "Oh my God, is that the 4th floor stapler?" And she ran across the road and she had her photo taken with the stapler. So then I thought, wow, it's really made it. It's so much more successful than me. And it's a stapler. Then I went on holiday, so I took it to Fenway Park in Boston, took it to Disney World. Then one of my colleagues took it scuba diving. We took it loads of places. We probably did 20 posts. But again, it then got picked up in the national press, and all of them quoted my age, which I thought was unnecessary of them all. I didn't even give them my age. They found it out. It was investigative journalism. But yeah, and it did go, I hate using the word, but it did go properly viral. It's a stapler. It's ridiculous. It's completely by accident because I found a stapler next to a photocopier. And I think the reason that this worked is because it's so mundane. It's that thing, and I'm sure you've all got this in your offices. Everyone has that passive-aggressive thing in their office, whether it's like a post-it note on the milk, or there's someone that pisses you off at work. And this, I think, really spoke to people about how petty you can get in offices and run with it. So try stuff out. Get your stapler and take it places. That is my advice to you. Because if you do try stuff out, some stuff will work. Some stuff won't work, but if it doesn't work, keep trying and other things will. Right, 4th one. I'm running out of time, aren't I? Okay? Be relevant, brackets, but be relevant in your own way. The reason I say in your own way is because brands feel the need to get involved in everything at the moment. It's like Valentine's Day, let's do a post. It's International Women's Day, let's do a post. It's St. George's Day, let's do a post. And you can if you've got something to say about all 3 of those things. But if you have nothing to say about them, it's fine to not say anything. And no one is really going, oh, I wonder what Toilet Duck have to say about International Women's Day. Like, it's not a thing. No one wants to hear from a brand unless it's really good. So don't feel the need to get involved in everything. So for Innocent, our way of being relevant and getting involved is, like, I see it as taking joy in the mundane. So everyday life, if you can make it entertaining, that's what really resonates with people. So the clocks go forward this weekend, and so we write a post about how to change your clocks. Essentially, it's just don't bother, it's too difficult to do it. If it doesn't do it itself, just leave it for 6 months and it will be fine. And people really like this stuff, not only because it gives them a bit of a smile, but also it's kind of genuinely useful. Lots of people forget to change their clocks, and when they see our posts, they remember that they have to change our clocks. So that's our way of being relevant in people's lives. We also do talk about the weather a lot. We try and make it as accurate as possible, although I never check the weather forecast before. I basically just leave my flat and then tweet about the weather that is happening outside my flat. So they are the most inaccurate weather forecasts, unless you live on my road, in which case, pretty bang on. And we do those in real time, so do them at the weekends, do them in the morning, normally on my way into work. And like when Twitter went to 280 characters, we just used that as an excuse to tell people it was very, 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 very cold. And because we do those in real time, when things are actually happening, people really like those. I definitely took a lot out of what everyone was saying about scheduling earlier in this. I should start scheduling some stuff because we pretty much do everything in real time, mostly because of my chaotic brain. But the real-time nature of what we do really resonates with our fans. Oh, and also people do genuinely rely on our weather updates, which is stupid because, as I was saying, I have no expertise in that area at all, but people do follow them quite religiously sometimes. Now, being relevant for us as well, here's another example. We're not allowed to talk about politics at Innocent. We are not a political organisation. We sell crushed fruit and put it in a bottle, so we don't have an opinion on who should be ruling the country. But a way of getting involved in the day for us was this. So in the 2015 election, I went to vote in the morning, and there was a dog outside the polling station. And so I thought, this is an idea. And so started the hashtag dogs at polling stations. And then people started sending us photos of their dogs at polling stations. And it was pretty much trending straight away on Twitter. And then after about an hour, it was top trend on Twitter. And it just went, and big dogs. So there's a big dog. I'm an expert on dogs, so that's what you've learned from this. But yeah, it went mad. People started sending us hundreds and hundreds, and then using the hashtag thousands of photos of their dogs. People were going home to get their dog to go to the polling station because they wanted to get involved in this hashtag so much. It got so big so quickly that absolutely nobody knows that we started it. We did start it, but it spiraled out of control basically within about half an hour. And yeah, it did go massive on that day. We went international. The Wall Street Journal on the day of the election weren't tweeting about the election; they were tweeting about dogs outside the polling station. And my favourite bit of coverage was the BBC News because this dog has actually been censored because it was wearing a Lib Dem rosette. And I love the idea that anybody would see that dog and just be like, I know who I'm voting for. Yeah. But yeah, and again, on that day, it was huge. The reach of dogs at polling stations in the 2015 election was 128 million impressions. So again, the power of nonsense is alive and well, and it just shows that if you can find your way to be relevant, you can get involved in pretty much any conversation. 5, if you're 70% sure, go for it. This is not my mantra. I can't take credit for this. This is an Innocent mantra. We use it across the business because it basically says that in life and in work, if you have an idea, you're pretty much never 100% sure it's a good idea until you do it. And it might be good and it might be rubbish, but you've just got to go for it. The 70% is about right. You think it's good enough, you really believe in it, but you just don't know if it will work. We use it on social all the time. But I'll just tell you a quick story about the guy who invented the 70% rule of Innocent. This is a guy called New Adam. He's called New Adam because we already had an Adam, so we just started calling him New Adam. And he came up with this idea called Big Knit. And the idea was that we would ask knitters to find their scraps of wool and knit us little hats. And then they would send them to us, and then we would put them on our bottles. And then the money we raised from selling bottles, we would give to help older people in wintertime. He told that to the 3 founders in 2003, and they said, no, absolutely not. That is a ridiculous idea. It will never work. People will never knit. It's a logistical nightmare. You can't do it. And he said, okay, just give me a year. Give me a year to prove this works, and we'll see. So in 2003, we had 2,000 bottles, and we sold them all. And last year, we had 2 million hats. And it just shows the power of one idea. And it's led to an amazing campaign for us on social. People send us the most incredible hats. I know these photos are nice, but they really don't do justice to how good our knitters are. And they give us the opportunity to connect with the people that buy our drinks and our knitters in a really real way. So they send us stuff, but then we can share the stories on social. And they give us amazing stories to share. So this is Grace, who sadly has passed away now, but when she was 103, she knitted 50 hats for us for the Big Knit. She's just an incredible woman. And one other story, so Linda and Sue got in touch because their mum Sheila was an avid knitter for us. She knitted for the Big Knit every year. Sadly, Sheila passed away, and so because she was born in 1935, her daughters knitted 1,935 hats in her honour. I've been doing this for a few years, so I'm quite and I'm quite a cynical person, but when I see stories like this, it just makes you think, what an incredible thing that we're doing to raise money for people. And we get comments like this, it gives us so much love on social media. Because a lot of what we do is making people laugh and sharing ridiculous weather updates or dogs at polling stations. This gives our brand so much more substance. It's not just about humour, it's about charity and caring about people. And really quickly, my last thing, and I know that I'm really late, so I'm going to do this really quickly. Hire the right people. It might sound like the most obvious thing in the world. It is the most important. If you want to do customer service, social, writing properly, you need to have people that are really good at customer service, people that are really good at social, and people who are really good writers. Otherwise, your content won't be good. At Innocent, we have a really stringent way of hiring people. We have a really hardcore kind of all-round process. It takes forever to hire people, and it's really frustrating when you have a hole in your team. But the people we get in are incredible, and I'll just give you an example. So on the left here is Rita. She is our head of customer service. She's in my team, and she is the nicest human being you will ever meet. And what she did here is pretty cool. So the guy on the right is called Adrien, and he got in touch. He lives in France with his girlfriend Christine. Now, Christine had gone to study in California, and she loved our drinks. So Adrien got in touch and said, she really loves your juices. She's studying in California. She's really homesick. Can you send her some juices to California? And we said, we've looked at it. We can't, actually. We can't get them over there in a chilled way. They'll go off. And so, unfortunately, Rita had to let Adrien down. Then 4 months later, by chance, Rita was going on holiday to California, and so she put 6 bottles of juice in her bag and then drove 3 hours out of her way to the Berkeley campus to meet Adrien and Christine and surprise them with juice. She didn't have to do this. Nobody asked her to. It was her holiday. It was nuts that she did that. But her dedication to the people that she built a connection with meant that she cared enough to do that. And that's why I kind of stand here and go, it isn't me just bullshitting you. This is a real thing, people to people. And the great thing about that is it inspires other people in the business to also do great stuff. And the one example I will give you here is, so a little girl got in touch called Marla. Actually, her mum got in touch because Marla loved our kids' smoothies. But Marla, unfortunately, was going through chemotherapy, and she couldn't really eat anything. The only thing she could keep down was our kids' smoothies. And her mum had worked out that Marla had drunk 554 cartons of our kids' smoothies. So we went to Kirsty in our creative team, who isn't in our team, and has a day job that's really busy, and said to Kirsty, could you write a thank you card for Marla, because she's such a trooper, and we'd really like to kind of wish her well. We left Kirsty. 4 hours later, Kirsty came back to our desk, and she presented us with this. We're like, what have you done? She was like, well, she's gone through a lot, so I thought the way that we could show that we're really dedicated would be to hand draw 554 kids' smoothies on her thank you card. And Kirsty did that again without anybody asking her to. And by hiring the right people, you will get the right ethos in your business. And that's really the philosophy we've stuck with. That's it. Thank you very much.
Helena Langdon from Innocent Smoothies, thank you very much, Helena. If you just stay here, we'll put some questions to you, if that's okay. That was absolutely terrific, hugely entertaining, very useful, thought-provoking as well. Helena, thank you so much for sharing that story with us in such an entertaining way. Can I just be the one guy that suggests after the blog and the newsletter, can I suggest a podcast?
We have talked about it, but resource
okay.
issues.
Well, let's talk about resource issues. It sounds as though there's a team. Are you hiring like comedy writers or something to produce all this content? How many people are running the social media accounts for you?
So there's 2 of us at the moment. Until it was just me until 2016. Then I went mad, and then we hired someone else. And so there's 2 of us doing copy, and we actually don't have anyone at the moment. We have a vacancy for a digital content producer that will do all the visuals, the website, and
In terms of dealing with comments and things, then, so are you checking your phone here tonight? Are you round the clock? How do you divide up the workload?
So there's 2 of us. Generally, I would do most of the public-facing stuff, and John and my team will do pretty much all the responses. We do flip around. But then we do have a customer service team that sometimes jump on social. So the idea will be there's 2 full-time customer service and 1 temp. So I guess as a total for a team, we're 5 at the moment. Everyone can do social. yeah, we're busy. We're very busy.
And you've talked about, you built a brand with it, or it's been part of the building of the brand. You're doing good with it. Are you increasing sales with it, do you think?
With social directly. You asked me about ROI.
I didn't call it that. I said increasing sales. I tell them that the only thing worth measuring is the money in the till.
Okay. And so, yes, we are increasing sales. Innocent as a company are doing incredibly well. So we are the fastest growing drinks brand in Europe. I think that's right. I might have got that wrong. Sorry if anyone from Innocent is going to hear this. But yes, effectively we're doing well as a company. The difficulty with social, and I get asked this all the time, is they'll look at dogs at polling stations and they'll say, that's great, but what's the ROI? Like what? And the thing is with us is our content does different things. So some of our content, I do downplay it in talks, but we do have a big job to play in terms of our marketing spend. So our social is a big portion of our marketing spend, and that will be telling people about the new stuff that we make and encouraging them to go and buy it. So for that stuff, because it's part of a bigger marketing campaign, we're tied into a kind of, we need to increase sales in that part of the business. The nonsense that I've been talking about is more about building brand love. And so we do track our engagement, we do track our reach, we do make sure that we're doing the right stuff, but we don't tie that kind of content to a till sales, because it's quite difficult to expect someone to take their dog to the polling station and then buy a smoothie on the way home. We don't tie ourselves to that, but if we were losing sales, like if we weren't doing well as a company, I think the questions would be quite different. So doing well as a company so everyone leaves us alone, maybe if we don't use the word in the future,
You're getting that balance in is a big part of it. I think we can take some questions from the floor. Johnny, if you take my microphone and just run off and...
I know that big brands get penalised even more heavily than small businesses by the algorithm. How have Innocent kind of adapted to that over the years, and do you have any tips for small business owners?
The algorithm, I hate the algorithm. I love Twitter, but I hate the algorithm as well. The algorithm has really ruined it for us, actually. Like when I first started in 2013, a good performance on one of our posts would be 10,000 likes. Now it's 1,000, which I know is still sounds like it is a lot. It's still a lot, but it's come down a long way. I think for us, and I'm not speaking for small businesses because I know it's different if you don't have a budget. Brands need to stop seeing Facebook as a free marketing tool, because it just isn't anymore. It is a paid tool. We're really lucky that we still have good organic engagement because we get lots of shares and comments. But if we have, say, a product post, and I was going to mention this to you in the break, if we have 600,000 fans on Facebook with an organic post that's talking about one of our products, we'll reach 5,000 people. The reality is we cannot reach our own community anymore with our messages, and we have to pay to reach them. It's annoying, but it is the reality. So for us, we see Facebook now, we don't obsess about organically posting. If we've got something to post, we post, but we focus on paid on Facebook now, and we focus our organic efforts into Twitter and Instagram because they still work for us.
Amazing. Any more questions from around the floor? If anyone wants to think of a question, I'll grab some of the highlights from Twitter. Jackie Hitchin saying, absolutely brilliant presentation by Helena from Innocent. Thank you very much for your social media journey. Business Gateway Ayrshire guest speaker Helena Langdon from Innocent talks all things social. We learned, we laughed, and we loved it. And Kay Dewar also saying, so what happened with Pete in the end? Did he get to Paris?
Haven't gone yet, but there's still time.
Still time. Amazing. And still time for another question.
Yeah, that's a guy on my team called John who likes to make fun of me at every available opportunity. I have been on a trampoline. I have had eggs, but I've never had them at the same time. Unfortunately, there's no story there. Yeah.
Any final questions before we wrap up? Yep, down at the front. Or question trooper. Right, let's go.
Have you considered a career in stand-up? Because you're absolutely hilarious. And Innocent should pay you more to keep you.
Can you write that down for me? Thank you very much. Yeah.
Perfect. Colin, I'm going to... Oh, one more question at the side. I'll run round this side. Don't know if I'm going to squeeze through here. Thank you, thank you. The smoothie... You can take the mic. The smoothie drink that you can use to pay for. Could you put a chip into a smoothie and could we pay for drinks now?
You could.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's talk. I mean, if we can do it, let's do it. I'm up for it. I mean, I don't sign off. I have no power to make those decisions. But yeah, let's do it.
Amazing. Amazing. Any last questions from the floor? Other than that, one more. Right, go for the last one. All right.
Do you think of developing using Facebook Messenger or anything direct to that?
Yeah, maybe. We've been thinking about Facebook Messenger, we think about WhatsApp. I think WhatsApp is really the biggest social network that nobody's using, no brands are using. The problem for us is we are a really small team. Everything that we want to do that we just can't really do because there's 2 of us. So as we get bigger as a team, I think we will consider other options. For us, anywhere that we can have direct chat, because we really back our ability to write words and have conversations, anywhere that we can do that, that's where we want to be ultimately. And if we have to forget Facebook posts for doing Facebook Messenger, that's probably what we would invest in out